It's 4 o'clock.
They're getting closer. Elisa Brady, Fox News. Hints of progress for Democrats trying to reach agreement on the president's social spending package. Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House.
After what he called a spirited conversation over lunch, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says Democrats could settle on a spending bill framework by the end of the week.
The pace is picked up. The desire to get it done is strong.
Here at the White House, groups of Democrats, progressives, and moderates are meeting with President Biden on potential top-line dollar amounts and policy provisions.
We're talking about what that final package looks like and what can get the most votes to get it across the finish line.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president met separately with West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin, who has signaled opposition to some climate initiatives proposed by Democrats.
The president also meeting earlier today with another moderate holdout, Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. A leading House progressive says she's hopeful of a reconciliation deal and that the president appeared to be aiming for just over or under $2 trillion in today's meeting. Republicans say it's a tax and spending spree.
They're having very difficult time getting everybody in line behind something that's increasingly unpopular with the American people.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican congressman, has just been indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of lying to the FBI during a probe of campaign contributions funneled from a Nigerian billionaire. 9-term Nebraska Representative Jeff Fortenberry expected the charges, proclaiming his innocence in a video posted online last night. A Navy investigation finds sweeping failures in the fire that destroyed the USS Bonhomme Richard in San Diego last year. A sailor is charged with setting the fire, but the report lists 36 others contributing to lapses in training, coordination, fire preparedness, and command and control. America is listening to Fox News.
Here's a fact. COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since the start of summer. Also a fact, vaccines are highly effective in preventing hospitalizations and deaths, even from the Delta variant. If you've got questions about COVID vaccines, talk to a doctor, because our kids are irreplaceable. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Big news from Simply Safe Home Security. Okay. Actually, I think the horns are too much. That's better. Big news. The new wireless outdoor security camera is here. Yes, Simply Safe's award-winning home security just got even better, taking whole home protection to a whole new level. Okay, I'm missing the horns. Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering free shipping for a limited time. Visit simplysafe.com today.
The White House says federal law enforcement is involved in the effort to bring 17 hostages home safely from Haiti.
16 Americans and 1 Canadian working with Ohio-based Christian Aid Ministries were kidnapped in Haiti. It's believed they're being held at a house outside of the capital city. White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki again reiterated Tuesday that the FBI is involved in trying to bring the missionaries home, but also noted that they've had a travel advisory out warning people not to travel to Haiti.
Kidnapping is widespread and victims regularly include U.S. citizens. We know these groups target U.S. citizens who they assume have the resources and finances to pay ransoms, even if that is not the case.
The gang that kidnapped them, 400 Mawozo, is apparently demanding $17 million for their release. Haiti's justice minister says they are in touch with the gang members.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. A federal judge rules race can remain a factor in admissions at the University of North Carolina.
U.S. District Judge Loretta Biggs said UNC Chapel Hill has benefited from considering race as a factor in admitting new students. The university was sued by Students for Fair Admissions, a conservative group who said UNC violated civil rights law by considering race and ethnicity in enrollment. The university says racial consideration allows the school to meet its diversity goals. Judge Biggs cited a precedent set by the University of Texas in her ruling. The plaintiffs, who lost a similar case against Harvard, say they will now take their case to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Just getting reports of a missile launch by North Korea. The Yonhap News Agency reporting that it test-fired a new submarine-launched ballistic missile and that leader Kim Jong-un did not attend the test. There's no independent verification. Elisa Brady, Fox News.
We'll have mostly cloudy skies throughout the evening hours with temperatures holding into the 40s. Wind will be out of the north-northeast between 15 and 25. And we'll hang on to that breeze with cloudy skies tonight with an overnight low of 39. We'll warm things up to around 45 for your Wednesday. It will be cloudy with a few scattered showers, mostly to our south, and an overnight low in the upper 20s with northeast winds between 10 and 25. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
The trip of a lifetime. That's what many of you have called our annual trips to New York City, and we're doing it again. Come on back and join us December 7th through the 11th. New York City, the Big Apple, we'll see it all. Broadway, the Rockettes and Radio City Music Hall, Trump Tower, we'll head to Newsmax. We're going to have a blast. I'll send you the full itinerary if you send me a text right now, 701-237-1590, 701-237-1590, or email me, scotth@flagfamily.com. New York City, December 7th through the 11th. Let's go.
One more time, got me feeling.
Celebrate today, folks, because guess what? You and I are alive during possibly what we may look back on the times right now and realize that we are part of the greatest show on earth. Remember when the Rams had the greatest show on turf? Yes, you and I might be living through the greatest show on earth. What I mean specifically is what if right now you and I could be living through the biggest psyop in the history of the planet? I'm going to explain to you exactly why I'm saying this today. And when I give you the actual data to back up why I'm making a claim that we could be living through the biggest psyop in the history of the world, I think you're going to be shocked. Let me give you a prime example. You might be driving right now. Maybe you're in your office. Maybe you're hanging out somewhere, wherever you are, and you and I are sitting down having a conversation. And I walked up to you and I said, hey, you know what? In the last couple months, the state of North Dakota has had 82 deaths due to COVID. 82 people we've lost due to COVID, unfortunately, in roughly the past couple months here in North Dakota. And then if I said to you, what percentage of those 82 do you think were fully vaccinated? Based on the psyop that you and I are experiencing, meaning the mainstream media, which I'm going to get into in a minute, you are going to have the biggest pit in your stomach when I share a clip with you later in the show in regards to what I mean by this is a psyop and what's happening right now. But if I said, hey, what percentage of those 82 deaths that we've had in the last couple of months do you think were fully vaccinated? I'm curious what you would say. Before we get into all this today, I do want to give a big thank you and a big shout out to Jason Harmon. He is a local real estate guy. He is the person who opened my eyes to the data that I'm going to share with you today from the North Dakota Department of Health. And when I first heard it, I was like, no, this cannot be the actual data. So I ran through it myself. I did it several times because it's so shocking. And sure enough, it bears out, to be true. Welcome to the Chris Berg Show, your oasis of freedom, your hour of power, your oasis of truth. This is where you and I are fighting for the truth for you, because Lord knows, getting to the truth today is not easy. Together, meaning you and I and this community around the Chris Berg Show, together, we are going to get to it. We are going to get to the truth. I've told you before, don't even listen to what I have to say. Don't take it at face value. Go do your own homework. Figure out what you need to figure out. We're going to do our best here to get to the truth for you. And then you can do your own homework. So, very important to know what you and I have been psyoped into believing. And this is why right now, I said to you a few weeks ago, and it continues to bear out to be true. When President Joe Biden got in front of the American people and he talked about his vaccine mandate, the day that he said, hey, for companies that have got 100 or more people, we're going to now ask you to mandate the vaccine. And remember, he said in that speech, hey, I totally understand how you can be upset with those 80 million people that aren't vaccinated. I can totally understand and appreciate. I mean, folks, it was the most divisive, most bone-chilling speech I've ever heard in the history of the United States from a president. And one of the things that you and I continue to be told by the mainstream media, by these elected officials, by people in this regime, administration, whatever you want to call it, is that this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. How many times have you heard this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated? Remember, in that speech, President Joe Biden said, hey, we need to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. Keep all of this in mind, because when I go through the numbers here in a moment, it is going to open your eyes and make you say, First, just to let you know how much of a psyop this is, here's one example. Last night, Tucker Carlson played this mishmash of different people within the administration, elected officials. Here is what you and I have been told many times from the podium. Why is this not playing? Hold on, folks. I will get there. Sometimes we have a little bit of technical difficulty here on the show. Hopefully this will change that.
Credentialed partisans did this on purpose. Watch them.
It is, as we've said, a pandemic and an outbreak of the unvaccinated.
This is becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
As Dr. Walensky said on an earlier briefing today, this is really becoming a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Still a long way to go. The fact is, this has been a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Unvaccinated.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. If it wasn't for the rubes that are these, unvaccinated rubes, we wouldn't have any issues, right? The rubes that can't go out and just get the jab, get the shot. I mean, come on, these people obviously, bunch of backwards, they don't know what they're doing, rubes. Well, guess what? There was a recent study at a Carnegie Mellon University. You want to know what education level right now has got the highest rate of vaccination hesitation in our nation? Vaccination hesitation in our nation. The highest rate of vaccination hesitation in our nation, according to Carnegie Mellon University, determined by education level, is not high school graduates, not junior high graduates, not even college graduates, but PhDs. Doctorates. It is the PhDs that have got the highest level of vaccination hesitation in our nation, according to Carnegie Mellon University. You hear it here. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, according to these people that have been elected and hold places of power. So think about this for a moment. You and I are told this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I'm going to share some information with you that, in my opinion, could prove that to be very, very inaccurate. And yet, wait till you hear this. Today, let me see if I can find this in the old stack. Oh, what is this that I have in my hands here? Could this be the J&J Street Report from today? It might just be, meaning the Johnson & Johnson had their earnings report today. And oh my gosh, remember, Johnson & Johnson created one of the shots or one of the jabs, one of the vaccines. And what a shocker. Johnson & Johnson came out today and they beat the streets. I mean, is anybody surprised by that? Profits over people. Profits over people. Profits over science. Let me give you some of the data here. J&J's pharmaceutical business, which developed the single-shot COVID vaccine, generated a measly $12.9 billion in revenue. Okay, now that's all their pharmaceutical business, okay? Not just the shot. I don't want to give you any misleading information. It wasn't $12 billion in just shot revenue, right? But total J&J Pharmaceuticals business was up over nearly 14% year over year, in large part thanks to the COVID shot. Now, I posted some of this stuff on our Facebook page. Again, go to facebook.com/Chris Berg Show, facebook.com/Chris Berg Show. And one Yahoo was like, see, this is the beauty of capitalism, private business. I'm like, oh, really? Do you remember how many shots the actual federal government bought? And that was under the Trump administration, to be fair. But do you remember how many shots the federal government bought from these pharmaceutical companies to help them move things along very, very quickly? So I want to play for you one more clip before I get into the data, and we may even have to go to break before I do. But I think this is so important. Kevin will get to your call in a moment. Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. I'm going to pause for a second here so you and I can just take a breath. And then I want you to listen closely to what I'm going to play for you. I came into the show asking you, could you and I be living through the greatest show on earth? Could you and I be living through the biggest, most unbelievable psyop in the history of our planet? If you don't know what I mean by psyop, it means like psychological warfare. I've said many, many times now, this is a battle for your heart and for your mind. That is why it's so critical. We've said before, don't give into a spirit of fear. You and I are led from a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So listen closely to what I'm going to play for you. This is a 55-second clip. Is the mainstream media psyoping you to put profits over people? Listen closely, folks. And then I definitely want to get to your phone calls when we come back.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer. CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer. Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline. Brought to you by Pfizer. Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer. This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Folks, have you seen the ratings for CNN, the Sunday morning news shows, 60 Minutes? I can go on and on and on down the list here. From every single show that I just played you that is brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. They know their ratings are going in the tank. They still need to pay the bills. So then you have things brought to you by Pfizer. Do you know anybody in the mainstream media right now that's got a big enough spine to stand up and actually deliver to you the truth, which we've been doing here on the Chris Berg Show? Remember, there was the FDA 8-hour booster meeting where the person says there's absolutely no reason that kids should be getting this shot, that children should be getting the shot. Did you hear that clip anywhere but right here? And I don't say that to pat ourselves on the back here on the Chris Berg Show. I only say that to show you that, yes, you and I could be living through the greatest psyop in the history of our planet because of big pharma. Because of big pharma. I hope that made you go, wow, that was unbelievable to hear how many news shows are brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. Stunning. Now, here's the amazing thing. I haven't even given you the data in North Dakota yet. So I want you just to take all this in right now. Then I want you to call into the show. The number to do so, 701-271-1100. 701-271-1100. Then when we come back, I'm going to share with you what percentage. So we've had 82 people pass away in the last 2 months in North Dakota from COVID. I want you to ask yourself, based on the psyop I've just played there for you, hey, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, brought to you by Pfizer. What percentage of those deaths do you think were fully vaccinated? Would love to hear your point of view. Stick around, much more coming up right here on the Chris Berg Show.
just be a trick or a treat. Spooky deals are going on now online at am1100theflag.com. Save 50% off a daily deal going on every weekday through October. That's 50% off for certificates to dine at your favorite restaurants and savings off entertainment. What's the 50% off spooky deal of the day today? Find out by going to am1100theflag.com and click on Big Deals.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb.
All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
So the dream was to build your very own law practice. Be your own boss, call all the shots. But have things like billing, HR, timekeeping, and all the other management stuff turned your dream into a nightmare? Take charge of your practice with Lexicon. We're the intersection of practice management software and legal support services for your firm. You'll get more billable and livable hours back. Lexicon marks the spot for all your practice management needs. Visit lexiconservices.com/intersection to get the whole story or schedule a demo.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed. Also, the Army National Guard's education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association at this station.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
So the government that is causing energy prices to go through the roof, the government that's causing inflation, the government that's creating a debt that will ensure that future generations, as far as the eye can see, will be suffering under this debt, is not going to fix the supply chain system. Is there anybody in the White House who's ever worked in the supply chain? Is there anybody in the White House who's ever worked in the private sector?
Mark Levin is on the radio.
Mark Levin, weekdays at 5, only on the Flag.
Fee saves you thousands of dollars at James Patrick Real Estate. The more I learn about this company, the more you're like, wow, why didn't somebody do this sooner? I want to tell you exactly what I mean. And just go to their website. You can check it out because they've got this really cool tool where it's like a listing fee comparison. So whether you're selling your house for, let's say, $250,000, maybe it's $500,000, no matter what your house sells for, here's what's amazing. Your listing fee to sell the house is the exact same. It's the exact same. It's $3,500. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I'm going to go to this listing fee comparison thing right now. Let's say that you sold your house for roughly $350,000. By normally, as you know, an agent's going to charge you a percentage, right? But by working with James Patrick Real Estate, you actually save over $7,000 in listing your house. I just think it's incredible. So again, go check them out. James Patrick Real Estate. They've got a bunch of testimonials on there as well. It says Dan and his team is on top of the entire process and make it super easy to understand. We save so much money and time with James Patrick Real Estate. Thank you. James Patrick Real Estate, honest advice, proven results. All right, welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. A number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. We are going to get to Kevin here in just a moment. Kevin, before we do, I do want to share this data with our audience because as I led in through the show, I asked you, hey, could we be living through the biggest psyop in the history of our planet? Is this the quote-unquote greatest show on earth? And I hate to even frame it that way, but I don't know how else to frame it right now. Here's what I mean. You and I have been told that this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. How often have we heard President Joe Biden say, hey, this is about saving lives. If you get the shot, we're going to save lives. Again, I want to put a big shout out to Jason Harmon, local realtor here that opened my eyes to this data. And I'm going to start with the actual deaths because that's the most shocking number. Then I'll get into the cases and I'll get into the hospitalizations. Before I do, and I'm going to frame it this way, Producer BG, I'm going to go to you. To be fair, you've not seen this data, correct?
No, I have not.
So from basically August 1st to September 30th, right? And you've heard the PSYOP, if you will, get vaccinated to save lives, yes?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So in those 2 months, we've had 82 deaths attributed to COVID. And if I were to ask you, hey, what percentage would you guess, based on what you've been told by the media and these people, what percentage of these 82 deaths do you think were actually fully vaccinated?
Maybe 1 or 2, very few, if any, I would say.
That's what I was going to say. Most people are going to guess, I don't know, Chris, maybe 1%. Okay, just to be, play devil's advocate, maybe 10%. Folks, from August 1st to really October 3rd, okay, so give or take a couple days here. I'm not going to get into the exact numbers, but of these 82 deaths attributed to COVID, 45 of those were fully vaccinated. Now, if you're not a math major like I'm not, what that means, and this is the jaw-dropping thing, folks, what that means percentage-wise, 54.9% of those 82 deaths were fully, let me repeat, fully vaccinated. Over half. You and I have been told, take the jab, take the shot, because that's what's going to save lives. We need to save lives. We need to protect the vaccinated from the unvaccinated because this is what's going to get the job done. And I'm just telling you, based on the North Dakota Department of Health website, okay, this isn't some right-wing media make-up information deal. This is based on the North Dakota Department of Health website. Over 54% of the deaths in the last 2 months, those people were fully vaccinated. Now, 1 death is way too many. All of this is heartbreaking to think that we're going through this. And that's why I continue to say to you and I, look, stop with the division. Stop it. Don't look down on people because they haven't taken the shot. Please, I am begging you, as we are losing people, to please take a moment and lead with love. It's the only thing that is going to get us to get through this, to unite us and say, look, together we can solve this problem. But if we're going to sit and balkanize each other based on jabs and no jabs and shots, no, it's not going to work. Please do not fall prey to the PSYOP. I know we've got a bunch of calls coming in, so I just want to get to those because I just think this information is so, so important. So, Producer BG, I know the phones are ringing off the hook. If we can go to line 1, please, for a moment. Kevin, thanks for holding. I really appreciate that. We've got about a minute, sir, so I apologize, but I do want to give you a chance to share your point of view. What's happening?
First off, I want to thank you for getting that 3rd spot. I know Scott talked about it, and I give kudos off to Flag Radio and that whole thing. Thank you for picking up. I listen to Charlie Kirk and the whole day, and I go, it's impressive stuff. And it's hard. You know what? We're all fighting. At least I am. My family is. I understand what's going on and all this PSYOP stuff, but it doesn't take a lot to read Bible and Revelation go, we are in the end days. We're in the end days. And this was written about like men will turn against sons,
yes,
mothers against daughters, whatever. I'm just very thankful you've got this spot on this radio station. I voted for you. I voted for you.
Kevin,
no, I don't like to be on the air, sir.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for the very, very kind words. Thank you for the support. And sounds like you pray. So if you would, please pray for me because I can tell you, I can feel it when people are doing that because sitting in this chair behind this mic, it is a spiritual war for folks dealing with all this information, doing the best we can, again, to bring you the truth here on the Chris Berg Show. Stick around. We got a very special guest join us. We come back. Getting kind of towards the end of the year, we're going to give you some tax prep and also talk about all the amazing things happening here in the great state of North Dakota with a good friend of ours, Kent Busek from Busek and Associates. Stay with us.
Times
session as strong corporate earnings reports eased investors' concerns of a broader economic slowdown. Healthcare companies were among the gainers, with Johnson & Johnson leading the charge after the pharmaceutical giant posted a larger profit in its third quarter than a year earlier. The Dow rising 199 points, the Nasdaq up 107, S&P 500 up 33. And more people were watching Netflix in the summer quarter. The streaming giant reported earnings beating Wall Street estimates and its revenue in line with forecast. Netflix added around 4.4 million global paid subscribers, beating estimates as the company began to roll out a slew of content like the popular Squid Game. Netflix said it expects to add 8.5 million subscribers in the fourth quarter. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program. A one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for...
We'll have mostly cloudy skies throughout the evening hours, with temperatures holding into the 40s. Wind will be out of the north-northeast between 15 and 25, and we'll hang on to that breeze with cloudy skies tonight with an overnight low of 39. We'll warm things up to around 45 for your Wednesday. It will be cloudy with a few scattered showers, mostly to our south, and an overnight low in the upper 20s with northeast winds between 10 and 25. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
Introducing the most comprehensive and in-depth high school football show ever. Welcome to The Blitz. Each week, we'll have players and coaches interviews, previews of the biggest games in 9-man and 11-man, and feature select regional games and teams from Western Minnesota. A 1-hour show with game day forecasts, special features on players, and interaction from the fans. Join us every Friday night for The Blitz.
For more than 40 years, Jose Investments has brought plans to life and made dreams come true by delivering expertise and service to those wishing to lease office space, buy or sell land, or develop office buildings. Their team of professionals has extensive experience with landlords, tenants, buyers, sellers, and developers in the tri-state region. They know the properties, they know the market. When you look to the future, look to Jose Investments. Go online to joseinvestments.com. That's KJOS investments.com.
It's true. Inventory is low at area car dealerships. At Muscatel Subaru, new inventory is still arriving, so check out the new 2022 Subaru models now. We all know in this area, all-wheel drive Subaru just makes good sense. That's why you see so many four-season Subaru models on the road. Now is a great time to buy, and we all know the higher value of your trade-in. Muscatel Subaru, just off Exit 1 in Moorhead, or online at muscatelsubaru.com.
Mike Lindell has done it once again. A MyPillow for $19.98. Are you kidding me? That's right. Mike Lindell has an amazing offer for our listeners on his standard MyPillows. A standard MyPillow, regularly $69.98, is now only $19.98. There's all kinds of deep discounts right now on all MyPillow products, the MyPillow towels, the sheets, the mattress toppers, the slippers, and so much more. Just go to MyPillow.com, click on that radio listener square, and get this deal, $19.98 for Mike's standard MyPillow, or call 800-506-9028. Just use the promo code Scott at MyPillow.com or call 800-506-9028. Made in the USA, comes with a 10-year warranty. You know it's going to last, and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Nothing to lose. Go to MyPillow.com, promo code Scott, or call 800-506-9028 right now. MyPillow.com, promo code Scott, or call 800-506-9028.
The bakers of Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads are proud to support local education with Loaves for Learning, the program that makes it easy to earn money for your school. Enjoy Country Hearth and Village Hearth all-natural breads, buns, bagels, and more. Then save the UPC from the package for your school to collect and redeem. Each is worth 5 cents and can be used for books, computers, sports, music, whatever your school needs. Up to $10,000 a year. Learn more at loavesforlearning.com. Country Hearth and Village Hearth Breads, baking our best for you.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. Excited to introduce our next guest. Before I do, though, I do want to share this with you. So I just shared with you the data that I pulled off the North Dakota Department of Health website. Okay, so I went through, I can show you on a video exactly how I came to the information I came to. There was 82 deaths in August and September. Then I went through and it shows vaccinated versus unvaccinated. The deaths actually go up as you do this certain control thing. And now we've got information here from the North Dakota Department of Health saying, hey, our dashboard team tells us that the data that we sent them, the data obviously that I came up with, is not accurate. They're working on getting the accurate numbers pulled. We'll get them to you ASAP. So we'll see what numbers they come up with. And I'd love to know their process and how they came up with those numbers, because I went through it several times, spoke to people. I did reach out to the Department of Health. No one got back to me, obviously, until now. So if we get new information and we find out how they got that information, then we will let you know. And of course, correct the record. It's like I said, we're doing the best we can here to get to the truth. Don't always listen to what I have to say, right? Do your own homework, figure it out, and we get different information and they show us how they got it. We will absolutely show that to you. All right, let's bring in our special guest here. Once a month now, we're going to be doing, especially since it's October, we're in the fourth quarter, we're going to be talking about what can you be doing for tax planning so that you can keep as much money in your pocket rather than giving it, excuse me, to Uncle Sam. Also, we're going to talk about just the exciting things that are happening across the great state of North Dakota. So joining us in studio, Kent Busek with Busek and Associates. Check them out at fmtaxman.com. Kent, great to see you, and thanks so much for being here, man.
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing awesome. So I want to start with this because I know that you and some people are doing just some, I think, amazing things for some businesses in our area. And it's called the Employee Retention Tax Credit, where you are helping companies put some money back into their balance sheets, if you will, through some programs. So tell us what that is.
Well, if you go back to early 2020 when the COVID first hit, there was some legislation enacted, and it was companies focused on the payroll protection plan. And that got the money out quick. It was a pretty easy to understand plan. So that's what most people took advantage of. Well, there was a sister or a parallel or a second plan that was out there, which was the Employee Retention Tax Credit Plan. And originally you had to choose one or the other. So most people took the PPP plan. Fast forward today, they changed the rules, expanded the Employee Retention Tax Credit Program, and made it more accessible to clients. So 18 months into COVID, we just finally started looking at that because there's a variety of tests and a variety of ways that you can qualify for this program. Most people failed the first one, so they kind of stopped looking at it. But there's other opportunities to get into it. And what it is, Chris, it's a credit that'll pay up to 70% of an employee's wages, 70% up to $10,000 of an employee's wages for quarters 1, 2, and 3 in 2021. So if you have 5 employees that you're paying $10,000 to, you could potentially get a $35,000 credit back per quarter from the federal government. And again, this kind of got lost in the shuffle. And the reason why it got lost in the shuffle is one of the tests that you have to look at is there's a revenue decrease test. And again, you look around Fargo, you look around Moorhead, North Dakota, Eastern North Dakota as a whole. Most companies didn't have revenue decreases in 2022. I mean, we're very fortunate because of the Berg Sanford administration, we're going to talk about later. The fact that, we stayed open for the most part. So as a result, people looked at this test, well, we don't qualify. Well, fast forward 18 months down the road, because of what's happening nationwide around the country, that's now starting to impact some of the businesses in our trade area. We're taking a second look at some of these companies, and they are qualifying. And again, it is a very, potentially a very lucrative credit for these companies.
You're being humble. Give us some, you don't have to name companies, but just give us some anecdotes of, hey, Chris, this company called me, we work with them, and now we've brought back X amount of dollars into their bank accounts.
The 6 figures is not unusual. I mean,
wow.
And the reason being is if you have 15, 20 employees, with what wages are in this community at $20, $30 an hour, it's very easy to max out. But as for how they're qualifying for it, we look at government shutdowns, government mandates around the country. And if you look at what's going on in California right now and how things are getting caught up in the Long Beach port, Well, part of that's because of government mandates, and we could look at, whether it's a shot mandate, whether, whatever Governor Newsom is doing out there, creating havoc in the state of California, which then is flowing through the supply chain to us here in North Dakota. And again, it's pretty abstract, but again, these are the type of things that we're looking at to see if clients qualify.
So just so people heard that correctly, if you've got a business, he is now helping businesses because of some of these shutdowns and the mandates recoup 6 figures back into your business, tax-free or no?
Well, no, you have to pay taxes on that.
Okay.
That is different. But again, if the federal government is giving you $100,000 tax credit, a tax refund, you may pay $30,000, $40,000 of taxes on that. So again, it's still 60, 70 cents on the dollar for free.
So with that being said, give out your phone number and website, please, because I'm sure there's people that are going to want to contact you.
Well, you can reach me at the office, 701-356-7867, 701-356-7867. Or you can contact Chris here at the show too, because one thing we like to do with programs like this is we like to track, where do we get the phone calls from? Because it's great for Chris and, talking to other advertisers and other business partners that he has. Scott and Steve love it when I tell them, I come in and tell the head bosses here that, I was on your radio show and I got too much work and I can't talk to you anymore. So again, if you want to chat about it and, whether I do the work for you, your accountant does the work for you, that's fine, but just really want to make you aware of it.
Thank you. So thank you for that. Producer Chris, if you can bring the phone number back up on our streaming, because we are streaming the show video. Again, to call Kent if you want to ask him more. But hey, does my company qualify to get some of these reimbursements? 701-356-7867. Amazing plan. Okay, now year-end planning. We've got 2.5 months left or so in this year. Talk to us about, if you're a business, what can you be doing to ensure that you keep as much money in your pocket and don't give it to Uncle Sam?
Well, and I look at it from 2 different standpoints, not only from a tax saving standpoint, but from a financial standpoint. Some cases it is okay to pay taxes because, if taxes are going to go up next year, maybe we don't do some of the deferral techniques. But again, on the flip side, we typically try to limit or defer taxes as much as possible. So, the first suggestion that I would have is start early. And, I'm going to be on a few more times before the end of the year, and we can get into more specifics. But again, we're in the middle of October. It's 10 weeks from the end of the year. Start planning today. The other thing to be looking at is as we're getting closer to the year end, we're getting a better idea as to what the tax law is going to look like. So for most of the year, we've been concerned about huge tax increases that the current administration would like to have enacted. As we get closer to end of year and everything that's going on in Congress, it doesn't seem like much, if anything, is going to pass, which is good because these were some pretty draconian tax increases, double capital gains, increase corporate taxes, increase
the
personal
basis
income tax.
points.
Yeah, get rid of the step up in basis for estates. So again, as of today, none of this has been enacted. Doesn't look like much, if anything, is going to get done just because of all the problems going on in the administration flowing over to the tax side. The other thing, and this just came out today, a lot of talk about it. The IRS and the banks, or the IRS was going to force the banks to tell, have the banks tell the IRS every time you made a $600 transaction, a cash transaction, because, the billionaires, this is how they hide all their money. That was the story we heard. Well, anyways, that kind of went by the wayside today. I was reading something that they're moving it more up to a $10,000 level, which is, again, more similar to the current rules. If you do a $10,000 cash transaction, you have to fill out a CRT with the bank, which then gets filed with Treasury. So that's kind of going by the wayside too. So big picture, knock on wood, we're going to keep the taxes the same as they are right now. So then we could really do some good planning because we know what we're dealing with. It's hard to plan when we don't know what the rules are.
Exactly. So last question on the taxes, then I want to move on to North Dakota. So let's say, for example, someone's wondering, hey, am I going to find myself in a tax crunch or not? What are some things they should be looking at for themselves personally to go, okay, I need to call Kent and do some tax planning now to ensure that I can keep as much money in my pocket and not give it to Uncle Sam?
Well, and again, it's a situation by situation basis. So again, take a look at your investments. If we can meet with your lawyers, if we can meet with your investment guy, bring in your pay stubs, kind of tie it all together. Because a lot of people have a lot of moving parts. And, for the most part, people don't pay any attention to it.
Yeah.
And So again, just do a financial checkup, whether it's for your own long-term financial planning, whether it's for insurance purposes, whether it's just to see if you have a good tax plan right now. Just, talk to your people. Don't be afraid of your taxes.
Is that something that you will help people kind of go through and put that?
That's what we do. So,
all right. Give the number one more time, because then I want to come back and I'll give it 701-356-7867, 701-356-7867, or check them out at fmtaxman.com. Again, fmtaxman.com. Sit down. You can start planning for the end of the year tax situations and keep as much money in your pocket as you possibly can. When we come back, before we go to break in, I do want to just ask you this to kind of tease what we're going to talk about when we come back. For me personally right now, when I look across the great state of North Dakota, I can look at any quadrant, and I don't know if I've ever seen our state so poised, so primed to explode economically. I keep talking to, hey, let's make North Dakota the freest state in the nation. That's the brand to attract this workforce issue. In your eyes, one, do you think that's an accurate assessment on my part? And number two, what do you think is one of the most wow things going on in the state right now?
Well, I think you're exactly right. And I think people underappreciate what's going on. We can see it in Fargo, West Fargo, Moorhead, to a lesser degree, what's going on. I mean, there's building, there's construction, there's new schools, there's people moving here. But you get west of 45th Street, we always said that's Western North Dakota. Now it's west of Cheyenne is Western North Dakota. There's so much going on. And, and I'm going to give a lot of credit to the Berg and Sanford administration, which I'd like to talk about, because I don't think they get enough credit for, number one, a year ago, keeping the state open and just the path they took. And just as a result, people want to live here. They want to work here. And it's just creating opportunities for everybody.
Well, and with that being said, folks, I mean, the GDP of the state is about $50 billion. We've got right now on the docket, pretty much sounds like done deals. They need to get inked, but $25 billion coming into the state fairly soon, half of our GDP. So yes, things are cranking. We're going to have that conversation with Kent when we come back to talk about what are some things that are popping out in his eyes, because you're born and raised in the state, yes?
Right, I'm from Western North Dakota.
Born and raised. So we're going to talk about some things that are popping out to him. If you got any questions, comments, number to call into the show, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Stay with us. You're listening to The Chris Berg Show.
Gold and silver are a very great insurance program against inflation, because during inflationary times, they hold value, whereas your dollars that you have in your pocket lose value. So it takes more dollars to buy the same amount of product that you're buying today. So we highly recommend now is a good time to be investing in precious metals.
Call Jerry, 701-746-9950. Stop and see him at 2124 Gateway Drive, Grand Forks.
Hello, this is Matt Lehman and Mike Walski with Fargo Roofing and Siding.
We are here to help you with all your commercial and residential roofing, siding, and window needs.
We will approach every job with what we call Fargo values of honesty, integrity, accountability, and strong work ethic. Whether it's insurance-related repairs, remodeling, or new construction projects, our team is here to help.
Premium quality, premium service, Fargo values, Fargo Roofing and Siding.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents
and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb.
All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
So the dream was to build your very own law practice. Be your own boss, call all the shots. But have things like billing, HR, timekeeping, and all the other management stuff turned your dream into a nightmare? Take charge of your practice with Lexicon. We're the intersection of practice management software and legal support services for your firm. You'll get more billable and livable hours back. Lexicon marks the spot for all your practice management needs. Visit lexiconservices.com/intersection to get the whole story or schedule a demo.
Gateway Building Systems is proud to be a new AGI bin dealer, the global leader in steel manufacturing, designed with exceptional flexibility and quality in mind. Storing your grain and non-corrosive materials has never been easier. With AGI bins, your options are endless. You'll find everything you need to keep your farm running and successful. For more information, go online to gatewaybuilding.com or call 1-800-747-4499.
Hey, welcome back. Chris Berg here. Want to talk to you for a moment about technology, really your online business solution center on sharp.com. If you maybe have an idea like, hey, gosh, I really think I could develop an app, whether it be for your employees or for the general public, or maybe you've got some custom development software that your software is just not speaking to each other correctly right now, I want you to check out onsharp.com. They've got a free guide right now. You can download this guide to give you some expert advice on website development, app development, and then again, custom software development. So go to onsharp.com/get it right. Again, that's onsharp.com/get it right. And the reason they're doing the /get it right is because how many times you went to someone for some kind of software development or app development or website and you're like, that isn't quite what I was looking for. They get it right the first time. Again, onsharp.com/get it right. All right, welcome back to the Chris Berg Show. Sticking with us here through the break in the next segment, Kent Busek from Busek and Associates doing some really, really just fantastic things for local businesses as far as keeping your money in your pocket and maybe even getting some more money back from Uncle Sam to put into your pocket. But what we want to do now is Kent, born and raised in our great state of North Dakota, from Western North Dakota, is just look at a big picture view of what's happening. And I sort of set the primers there. You did as well, Kent, but being born and raised here and seeing all the activity that's going on, I'm just curious, what, if you were going to point and say one or two things right now and go, man, this is amazing what's happening in our state, what would that be?
Why not? And when I graduated from college in 1988, I had to leave because there were no jobs. I mean, when I say there were no jobs, I mean minimum wage, temp jobs, there was nothing. So I moved to Texas for a year right out of college, Denver for 3 years, Minneapolis for 5 years before I moved back in 1996. So again, that's kind of what I grew up with out in Western North Dakota in Fargo, going to school here. There wasn't opportunity. You left. And then I was fortunate that I was able to come back in 1996 when we decided to, we just got tired of the cities and we moved back. So again, you look at it today where, a kid going to college, kid going to high school. I mean, my employees today, anybody, if you want to work and if you want to take a risk, if you want to go out, start a business, the opportunity is endless. And because there's so many needs, because we drive around, there's niches. So people starting new businesses. Oh, I never thought of that. And which just creates more growth. And you look around. I mean, you talk to the city leaders here in Fargo, they'll tell you 10 to 12 people are moving to town every day. Just stop and think about that. That's 4,000 to 5,000 people a year that are moving here. So that's construction jobs, that's schools, that's nurses, that's teachers. That's in Fargo. That's what we see. But I really think what's starting to happen is out west again. So we had the oil boom, which a lot of that was a transient type worker. The guys on the rigs, the guys that were laying the pipe in Western North Dakota, they were just here for the short term. They were in, they were out. They never moved families. But if you start seeing what's happening in Western North Dakota, and it started with the state helping Coal Creek, the Coal Creek plant stay open and get sold to private investors from Bismarck, North Dakota. So that was step one, that, we need a sustainable energy future. And, Coal Creek is at the start and the end of the grid. So we're not going to have the problems that they had in Texas and New Mexico last winter when there was too much snow and cold and wind power and solar power didn't work down there. We've got the coal generation going on, not only there, but Antelope Valley, a little bit farther west. So they've made a commitment. The state leadership has made a commitment to make these types of businesses work. So that was step one. Just more recently, though, with the announcement of the new plant that's going to be built in Williston, phase one now, just phase one, $2.8 billion. Now, the purpose of this plant is they're going to take a natural gas byproduct that gets burnt off, or I don't know what they do with it, but it was a wasteful product, ethane. Well, they're going to make it into a plastic product, and then it gets shipped somewhere. I hate to say it gets shipped to China and then comes back as pens, pencils, papers, what have you. But again, they're going to manufacture this in North Dakota instead of on the Gulf Coast or the West Coast. So phase one, $2.8 billion. But the thing with that is private investment. It's not a government project. It's not a government subsidized project. It's outside investors coming to North Dakota, seeing the opportunity. So again, you've got the people that can work there. You've got the geology with the natural gas, the shale there. You have the regulatory support. North Dakota's been pro-energy all these years. So then you throw in the fact that phase one, $2.8 billion. There's more phases potentially planned. That's one thing. So the other one to talk about then would be with the coal gasification plant in Beulah, in which, again, they're looking to invest $3.5 billion in that. So again, you threw around $25 billion. Those are the types of projects that are out there. And then from there, those projects can expand over to eastern North Dakota because they want to build a natural gas pipeline from western North Dakota. We have a problem, too much natural gas. We're flaring it off. Well, we're going to put it in a pipeline so we're not flaring it off, make some of the people on the left a little bit happier that, we're not burning the gas. Then it's going to go into the, I believe it's the fertilizer or the soy plant in Spiritwood. So again, jobs out west, transport the product to the east, build a $300 or $400 million plant in Jamestown / Spiritwood. And again, this takes leadership. And I mean, these are huge, aggressive projects that can't be done just by the state. I mean, we don't have the money for it. The federal government isn't going to support projects like that today. So again, they went out and they've looked for private equity saying, hey, there's opportunity here. And again, there's jobs, there's good schools. People are going to move here. They get here. They like it.
I want to get to, we got literally about 30 seconds. We got a caller that's been on hold. So I want to just get a quick tip from them or whatever they want to say. I think it's Cyril from Grand Forks. Cyril, welcome to the show. I've got 30 seconds for you, so I apologize, but quickly, what's your point of view?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My point is you were talking about this wonderful Governor Bergum. Well, it wasn't so wonderful for some of us. My boss, who I'm 68 years old and employed with, he died from COVID. And I was available to get unemployment through the COVID Act. And Mr. Bergum decided that, no, we can't do that in North Dakota. So that roughly cost me $17,000 that nobody's going to help me out with. But yet you're talking about all of these business owners going to get all of this help from the government. It sucks.
Cyril, thank you for that point of view. Kent, always great to have you in studio. Such an important conversation. We appreciate it. We'll have you back in a month, yes?
Yes.
Awesome. Again, Kent Busek, check him out at fmtaxman.com, fmtaxman.com. You're listening to the Chris Berg Show, your hour of power, your oasis of freedom, the place for you and I fight for the truth. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m.